GRINDSET, inside the mind of successful entrepreneurs with your host, Cynthia Daniels and Williams Brack.
Welcome back to another episode of GRINDSET. I'm your host, Cynthia Daniels, Chief Event Strategist of Cynthia Daniels and Company.
And I'm Williams Brack, your favorite banker.
And today's guest is Charisse Barnes-Ferraro. She is the owner and founder of the Cayged collection. She's actually from Queens, New York, now resides in Atlanta, Georgia. And what's really cool, she has this amazing army of artisans from all over the world that handcraft this jewelry. So I'm excited to even find out how they create all these cool pieces.
Well, shout out to Queens, first of all. And, and then secondly, Charisse got a taste of jewelry sales doing network marketing and decided to go out on her own. And so I'm very excited to hear about that journey as well.
Absolutely. And then we did not mention she actually has an education background. So that's a whole journey in itself, right?
Hey, business people is a business people. You know how to get it in. So we'll be right back after the break with Charisse Barnes-Ferraro.
GRINDSET.
I'm Leslie Lynn Smith, President and CEO of Epicenter, and we've partnered with KUDZUKIAN. Each episode, hosts Cynthia Daniels and Williams Brack talk shop with Memphis' brightest and best entrepreneurs. Check it out by downloading the KUDZUKIAN app or find us on your favorite podcast provider.
Well, no, you had the Buffalo game, but understand New York and upstate New York, they are not moderates by any measure.
They may
Am I right?
They may not be, but guess what? Even conservatives get sick.
Funky politics.
On the KUDZUKIAN Network.
GRINDSET.
So we're super excited to have today's guest, Charisse Barnes-Ferraro, the owner and founder of the Cayged collection. Welcome to GRINDSET, Charisse.
Hi, thank you guys for having me.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yes. We're just going to jump right into it because, as we said in the beginning of the show, Charisse, you have an education background, but you have this empire of these global artisans that create these amazing pieces. So we're just going to jump right into kind of telling our audience what exactly is the Cayged collection. You know, how did you get started? And I mean, if you guys can see her, she has these beautiful neck pieces on. Like, just go for it, Charisse. Tell us all.
I want one for myself now. I want to feel powerful, bold, and beautiful too.
Regal, right?
Okay, so I'm originally from Queens, New York, and my background actually when I left New York and went to college, I went to an HBCU in Richmond, Virginia Union University, and I received my bachelor's in business administration. So I thought I was going to be this big time accountant. Well, realized that was not it for me, but I still decided to take business courses. So once I graduated, I lived in Richmond, Virginia for a while to kind of see if that's where I wanted to be, and it wasn't. So I moved back home to New York and then came here to Atlanta and fell in love, and then literally moved back like 2 weeks later to Atlanta. So
wow.
Once I got here in Atlanta, I stayed for about 2 or 3 years, and then I missed back home. So I went back to New York and was trying to just figure out really what it was that I wanted to do and where I wanted to be. I knew it wasn't New York, but I just didn't know exactly, where. And met my husband, who, Cynthia, you've met him, like he's my best friend, and decided to move back to Atlanta. So when I moved back to Atlanta, I decided, I think I want to be a teacher. So, I said, let me pray about this first, So I decided to go to Georgia State University. So I have a bachelor's in education, middle grades, from Georgia State University. And then after I finished that, I wanted to, further pursue my education degree. So I got a master's.
Okay.
So I got a master's from a college in Florida. I did it online because by that time I had my first child. And after that, I started working on my doctorate. Well, in the middle of my doctorate, I had to come to this realization, was I doing this? Am I doing this for me? Or am I doing it for everybody else?
Because it sounds good.
Because Black women love some education. I got to say that.
realized I was getting the degree to make everyone else happy, but I really wasn't getting the doctorate to make me happy. And a sorority sister was in this network marketing for jewelry and accessories. So I listened to a spiel about it. I was like, this might be right up my alley. So I tried it out, and I did that for about 2.5, 3 years. And then once I got used to doing that, I said to myself, okay, well, I have 300 plus women on my team. If I can do this for someone else, I know I can figure out how I can make it work on my own. So I said, okay, let me go back to the drawing board and let me use my business degree that I earned years ago. And once I did that, I figured out, how to market. I figured out Facebook. I figured out Instagram. Just trying to put myself out there because I'm an introvert. So just trying to put myself out there, trying to decide what parts of me I wanted people to know about me was kind of difficult because I knew that if I wanted to run a business, that I had to put a lot of me out there.
I feel
and
you.
My husband just said, babe, go for it. I mean, either you're going to win or you're going to lose. But I'd rather be tired trying to win than not do it at all.
So how is your own business different from network marketing so far?
With network marketing, it's pretty much, especially because you're running a business under someone else's company.
Yeah.
So, it's difficult to get into vending shows and trade shows. You can only have one of, your particular business at shows. So that was a huge difficulty.
So we're getting some of the nitty gritty for the GRINDSET audience about network marketing, huh?
Right.
And then trying to, even though I had about, I think it was like 350 ladies and men on my team, it's still hard trying to show someone else your vision because you either have it in you or you don't.
Right.
And, I had some people on my team that was putting in the work, and then I had other people who weren't. And then I found myself, I guess, kind of getting upset behind it because I know I'm going hard, but other people aren't going as hard as I am.
Right.
So there are a lot of pros to it, but, as with anything, there are a lot of cons to it as well.
Well, Charisse, what was the moment while you had this team of people that you were working under you that you decided, you know what, I want to do my own thing? So tell us about the birth of the Cayged collection. Where did that happen?
Okay, so it actually started with this event that I was looking at this event from last year. And I was like, okay, when it comes up again, I want to do this event. Well, someone else from the network marketing company beat me to it.
Oh, okay.
So I said, okay, I can't keep doing this. And so I just said to my husband, okay, what if I stop this and then just created my own? I know it's going to be hard because I'm doing it from scratch, but let me figure it out as I go.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. I went back and forth with the name of my company, and then a girlfriend of mine, a really close girlfriend of mine who designs clothes, she said, whatever you do, don't make the name of your company like a trendy name. And I asked her why, and she said, well, the older you get, you don't want these fun, kind of like names. You want a name, a brand that'll last as you get older.
That's a major key right there.
I was writing down all of these names. I have a notebook, and I was writing down all of these names, and I would show my kids, and I would show my husband, and I would show my best friend, and they were like, that's not it. And I got really tired one day, and I literally said, okay, God, you're just going to have to talk to me. So I fell asleep, literally with the pen in my hand. I fell asleep on my notebook, and I literally woke up and gasped, and I said, I got it. And I wrote it down real quick so I wouldn't forget it. And I came up with Cayged. So C is, of course, Charisse. I'm sorry, Chester and Charisse. A is for Agnes, which is my mom. Y is for Urel, which is our oldest. E is for Elijah. I'm sorry, I forgot the G. G is for Genesis. T is for Elijah. And then it's T for Dwayne. So that's how I came up with the name of my company. I just incorporated all of my family members in it. Now, and I have an older brother. His name is Stacy, and I couldn't quite fit his name in it. So when you go on my website, I named 67th and Brass after him. So it's like my brass collection.
All right, now the GRINDSET, what's in the name, right? But the GRINDSET audience would like to know how you finance the start of your business.
With my teacher income.
Ooh, big money. I didn't know teachers were millionaires, huh?
They are. They should be.
Well, lucky for me, I get paid based on how many years, because I've been teaching since 2005.
Okay.
And then I also get paid based on, my degrees. So I'm in a little bit better position than I guess most people are. But I literally I pay my mortgage and my car note and all of those essential things. But outside of that, I literally my money goes into funding my business.
When we get back into it in the next segment, we're going to talk about the mechanics of actually running a jewelry business. And so we like your origin story so far, but we're going to get into the operations of the business. You're listening to GRINDSET, and we'll be right back after the break.
GRINDSET. Riffin' on jazz.
When two friends get together to kick it
About jazz, it's called Riffin' on Jazz.
catch us riffing on jazz every week right here on your favorite broadcast or podcast platforms.
Riffin' on jazz on the KUDZUKIAN Network. KUDZUKIAN. GRINDSET.
Welcome back to GRINDSET. We're here with Charisse Barnes-Ferraro, owner of the Cayged collection. Now, Charisse, the GRINDSET audience does want to know, what were your first items that you purchased when you started your business?
Okay, so some of the first items that I purchased were, of course, inventory. So while I was vetting different artisans, I asked for them to send samples to me. So, most people don't know that your sample cost is actually a lot more than what it would be once you start ordering them in bulk.
So you have to pay for samples.
I have to pay for samples.
Ooh.
Yeah. So because you're getting one sample, you're paying higher for that one sample, and you're paying more money for shipping.
Okay.
Yeah. So just vetting different artisans from all over the world. A lot of my money went to marketing. So I had banners. I have jewelry cards that I had made with my brand on it. Table runners when I do events. I had to buy a brand new computer. I bought a Dymo, which helps with it produces out my shipping labels. I have a scanner that I had to buy. There's a lot. It's a lot of cost that goes into starting up a business.
Now, when you use the word worldwide, now it sounds like you're not only in the jewelry business, you're also in the import business. So talk to the GRINDSET audience about your experience importing from all around the world from different vendors, because there's a lot of trust and money involved in that.
Absolutely.
Yes. So when my house is quiet, what I typically do really, really late at night, sometimes that's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning, is I just start Googling whatever it is that I want and see what pops up. So this one particular night, I just happened to be Googling, and I was like, this seems kind of interesting. Can't give away my secrets, but this seems kind of interesting. So I started reading some of the reviews, and I liked, pretty much what I was reading. So I reached out to a couple of people, and they started sending samples in. Some I did not like, and then a lot of them, I did. But again, it's, that's part of owning a business. It's a cost that, I have to incur that I don't always want to incur, but it's part of running a business. Research
and development, right?
Yes.
Right. And so on a personal note, Charisse and I met because she was a vendor at my Black Christmas Expo. And, it was an amazing experience, but it spoke a lot to what Charisse does as a business owner. Not only is she based in Atlanta and does events in the Atlanta market, she travels. So Charisse, can you talk about the importance of getting outside of your own hometown, your network, and getting into other cities? Talk a little bit about that process and that investment.
In my mind, I have a book that I write all of my thoughts and ideas. And as I, get to it, I cross it off and say, okay, moving on to the next one. And one of them was, like you said, not just being in Atlanta.
Right.
My Atlanta base, my customers, they're always going to be here. But I realized in order to get my brand out there, I had to put myself out there. And it's a lot that comes with that because you have to have some place to stay. So that, a hotel room, we rent trucks. When we do vending events, we have to eat. So a lot of that, comes into play with, a marketing still,
Right.
When I do events, I have to buy more inventory because now I'm not just in my inner circle. I'm someplace typically that's new to me.
Right.
So that's, at first I was like, I don't know, do I want to do this? What happens if no one comes to these events? And again,
you're taking a risk.
It's a gamble. Yeah. So that's why when I met you and I did some research on you, I was like, I think I want to do this.
You're like, she hosts GRINDSET. The Black Christmas Expo must be popping. So.
It must be. So Charisse, I think that's amazing that you are brave enough to try different markets. And what I would love for you to share with the GRINDSET audience, just a little bit about your experience coming to Memphis. It was a new territory for you. How did the audience receive you? And then, thinking about the pandemic that we're in, you're not able to go to new cities and travel to festivals and trade shows. So how are you pivoting in the e-commerce space?
Most of my events that I've done in the past have been awesome. Your event was awesome. Then we get to March, right? And then COVID starts hitting really hard here in Atlanta.
Right.
But on my calendar, I had 3 events per month booked up until December.
Wow.
So COVID hits and everything is like a standstill. And my husband and I was like, okay, what are we going to do? I was like, I don't know, because I don't have a website up. So I was just kind of like, okay, I'll put the website together, whatever. But then you had your event. So when you did your event, I was like, oh, I need to get a website.
The Juneteenth Shop Black Virtual Experience.
The Juneteenth, yeah. And to be honest with you, Cynthia, your event is what kind of lit fire underneath me to get the website up and running. Because, it's hard when you're juggling teaching. And then I converted from teaching from home because we had to do virtual teaching. And then by the time, most times that I finish teaching, I'm exhausted because I have my own kids at home.
Yeah.
But, COVID hits and it literally stops everything. There's no more, none of my artisans are working because where they're at, COVID hit bad, where they're at.
Right.
So a lot of my money went into deposits for new things that were going to come out.
Okay.
I was depositing money into their accounts back in February. I'm just now, the end of July, receiving a lot of those orders in.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it hit hard.
So in this last minute, let's talk about cash flow and how you managing that, because when I do look up your website, I see a lot of different items on there, and that means a lot of inventory that has to be sold. How are you managing cash inflows and outflows of the business right now? And I know COVID hit, so it might be a little difficult.
Yeah. So it's posting every day, sometimes multiple times a day. A lot of it is word of mouth. And I not only just post pictures of myself, I call my customers my Cayged babes. So, whenever they get a package and they finally open it, and if they do a selfie, I'll repost their selfies. Just the other day, I posted one of my customers, and she was like, oh, where did you get that from? And she tagged me in it. And literally maybe within 20 minutes, her order came through.
Wow.
So a lot of it is just been word of mouth and just posting on Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say this before we wrap up. One thing Charisse invests in, she didn't talk about this, is her branding and her packaging. Just that alone is so attractive. It makes you want to be on social media, tag people, show pictures. If your stuff is coming in a brown box, it's not special enough. So that also helps set your business apart, especially as a new entrepreneur.
I had to do samples for that too, because my first packaging that came in, the colors were all off, and I just did not like the material of the boxes. So we just went with another company. When that sample came in, I said, this is it. And then they're stuck. They're stuck with me.
Right. And I still have my box. I have every color necklace, but I don't want to throw away the box because I love it. So, wow. We still have a lot to cover, but when we come back, Charisse, we're going to learn a little bit more about what's next for you. Obviously, in the wake of this pandemic, how are you still reaching the Cayged babes? How are you getting into other markets? And, getting ready for that school year. How will you balance both? So we'll be right back after the break.
GRINDSET.
R&R on Sports.
Former NBA basketball player, Brother Mario Ellie. Welcome to R&R on Sports.
Pleasure to be on here with you guys, man. Thank you guys for having me.
It's R&R on Sports.
Well, you had the Buffalo game, but understand New York and upstate New York, they are not moderates by any measure.
They may
Am
not,
I right?
They may not be, but guess what? Even conservatives get sick, and I think everyone realized that if healthcare was going to be threatened, they were going to be in bad shape.
That is not how they looked at it.
These heroes that you're talking about just responded to their constituency. The system worked. I think that's what happened. Funking up your airwaves and jamming the good information in your ear. Once again, it's Funky Politics.
Funky Politics.
Funky Politics.
On the KUDZUKIAN Network.
GRINDSET.
So we're back with Charisse Barnes-Ferraro, the founder and owner of the Cayged Collection. And Charisse, it has been such a joy to have you on the show. So tell us a little bit about what's next. As a Cayged babe myself, I see you have some new designs coming up. So how are you still thriving in the midst of this pandemic? Tell us a little bit about the upcoming things you have.
Even through COVID, I was still able to communicate with my artisans.
Okay.
And since March, April, and May, and even parts of June, people were just coming up with different designs. And they would either email it to me or I was using WhatsApp to communicate with them. And they would send over designs, and I'd either say, you need to change this or take that out, or I need more color of this, or there were some designs I didn't like at all.
Okay.
So then we had to go back to the drawing board and start over again. Over this time period, I actually met a mills worker, and so that's where the brass collection came in. And I kind of was sketching out some designs of what kind of brass earrings I wanted, sent it to the person, and they would send me back a real sketch of what it would look like.
Okay.
And again, it was a back and forth. Can you change this? Can you add that? And I think that just still working during the pandemic, even though I couldn't really get any orders in,
right?
Still working and sketching and communicating with my artisans has actually helped me now. So my leather man, he's back working.
Okay.
So
everybody doesn't have a leather man, by the way.
Shout out to the leather man.
My leather man.
So he's creating my leather bags for me. I have two different artisans that are creating handmade beaded handbags.
Wow.
I wanted to come out, Cynthia, you and I had talked about it, and I wanted to come out with a cork bag.
Yes, gorgeous concept.
The sample that she sent me, I didn't like them at all. So now I'm trying to find another artisan, that can create it for me. So even still, during the pandemic, orders, I'm getting orders in, but they're just coming in slowly. Yeah. And, because of COVID, there's nothing that I can do about it. I had a package coming to me on Monday. I literally just got the package this morning.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So it kept saying it's in transit, but it would never reach me because of COVID.
Wow. So we have jewelry, bags, a Leatherman, and boxes. Tell the GRINDSET audience how you decided to price your products, like the methodology behind it.
You know, with everything, you love what you do, but you also want to make a profit.
Sure.
So
we're not doing it for fun.
You have to. Now, you don't want to make a profit. You have to make a profit.
Make a profit.
Right.
So for me, what I do is I have this method that I use, and it's 3 plus 10.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you what the 3 plus 10 is, but I call it the 3 plus 10. And that's pretty much how I price my products out.
Okay. And is it priced for growth? So let's say the Cayged collection absolutely takes off, and I've seen your product and it will. Are your products priced for the future or just today?
I put everything into the pricing of my products. That means my boxes, the tags, the crinkly paper that goes into it, every little cost, my shipping, everything all the money that I have to put out, I have to put that back into the cost of my product. And sometimes my customers don't understand that. So I have to kind of educate them on that point.
Why is that? Your price points look extremely reasonable for the quality of product they're getting.
I think so too.
I concur.
Yeah. But, my husband and I actually talked about it because we had to come to the realization that as we do grow, that the price point is going to have to change because other things are going to come into play, as we're growing.
A lot of our GRINDSET listeners, they either have a full-time job or they have the full-time job plus the side hustle, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to equate the Cayged collection is full-time. Your teaching career is full-time. How do you balance both? And again, in the wake of the pandemic, because we're all in this together, how are you going to balance both moving forward when August gets here?
That's funny you asked that. So this morning I woke up and I said, oh my God, I think I busted a blood vessel. And so my husband was like, how do you think that happened? I said, I think I'm stressing out over having to go back to work on Monday.
Okay.
And it's that thought process of, okay, it's another school year and I love educating children. Mm-hmm. And now it's going to look really different because we can't do what we did, when we didn't really know anything about the pandemic. So I have decided that I have a timer in my office. And after I teach, I'm going to dedicate every day 2 hours to work on my business. Now, it could be two or more, but at least 2 hours to work on my business. And most times, to be honest with you, I'm working late at night. When my house is quiet and my kids aren't doing what they're doing and my husband's not wanting husband time, it's
so needy.
It's my me time in my office where it's peace and quiet.
Yeah.
And I'll turn, my radio on really low and I just kind of mellow out and just really think about, okay, open up your notebook. What's next on your to-do list? And I try to do 2 things per day and just check it off. Yeah.
Well, and you just made me think of something really quickly, which we'll have to talk offline, because I can sew. I don't do this for free, but I would do it for you. We need to talk about how you can make money in your sleep. So we're going to talk about some social media ads, how we can make sure you're reaching people all over the country while you're sleeping. So you don't have to do something every day. So we'll talk about that too.
Okay.
Well, since you brought up stress, mental health has been a huge theme on this show from our business owners and entrepreneurs. And you have teaching, you have the Cayged collection, you also have family. How are you managing the health and mental health aspect of yourself with all of that?
So I love watching movies. And literally on Facebook the other day, I just had a post. Hey, what are some good movies to watch on Netflix?
Yeah.
So they gave me 2 good suggestions. One of them was a comedy. And when I tell you, I really needed that comedy. That's all I needed. And it kind of it takes you away from your everyday. It takes you for at least 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours. It just takes you away from teaching, being a mom, working on the business. You're just enjoying time watching whatever it is that, I'm watching. So, and my husband and I, since we started dating, we've always enjoyed documentaries and movies. So that's just kind of like been our thing.
Yeah.
I love that. That is important. That's a great question, Bragg, for you to ask about mental health.
So Charisse, where do we find more information about the Cayged collection?
Okay, so my website is www.cayged, and that's CAYGED.com. And Facebook and Instagram, my social media handles are both at Shop Cayged.
Awesome. Any phone numbers or email addresses?
My email address is info@cayged.com. And my business number is 678-804-5998.
So I do have one important question for you, Charisse. If someone jumps on your website right now after listening to this podcast, what is the number one item they need to start with? What is the must-have from the Cayged collection?
My Aziza bibs.
Okay, and what is the Aziza bib for somebody that's new to this collection?
Okay, so this particular one that I have on, it actually this is one of my new ones. So it looks a little different than my original Aziza bibs, but they are, it's all handmade, and it's a little tiny wire in here that you can kind of like mold, and it's wrapped with silk thread.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if you have something new, that means I need to go shop right now.
Well, Charisse, thank you so much for sharing your wonderful journey. And I know the journey is just getting started and you got hit with COVID, but you will be blessed because your products are amazing from what I've seen.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was a blast. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you guys.
So you're listening to GRINDSET, and we'll be right back with the major keys and woman power moment.
GRINDSET.
I'm Leslie Lynn Smith, President and CEO of Epicenter, and we've partnered with KUDZUKIAN. Each episode, hosts Cynthia Daniels and Williams Brack talk shop with Memphis' brightest and best entrepreneurs. Check it out by downloading the KUDZUKIAN app or find us on your favorite podcast provider.
Welcome back to GRINDSET. We just finished listening to the story of Charisse Barnes-Ferraro, owner of the Cayged collection. And if you check out our website, you checked out our merchandise, I'm almost sure you would like it. I mean, Cynthia wears the product, so
it's gorgeous pieces, unique too. I love it.
Yeah. And so what I want to do is share, even though I didn't yell, it's a major key throughout the episode. I do want to share some that I thought I got of it. I got out of the interview. Look, business involves trust. Like, you won't be able to do business if you don't trust anybody. Right. And even when you're importing jewelry or whatever your product is internationally, go ahead and make those deposits because business involves trust on both ends. 2, name your business something that will outlast you and multiple generations. What's in the name? And Cayged had a beautiful story about how it came to be. 3rd, just start the business. You can sit and you can ponder and you can plan and you can overplan, but you don't actually have a business until you start it. And then just know you don't have to quit your job to start your business. There's so many ways some people quit, some people don't. Some people go part-time, but all of them just start. And then the last thing, which has been a common theme through GRINDSET since we started, is take time for yourself and your mental health, and that will make you a better entrepreneur.
Absolutely. And so my woman power quote is, don't settle for average, bring your best to the moment. Then whether it fails or succeeds, at least you know you gave it all you had. And so when listening to Charisse's story, I thought this quote from Angela Bassett was just spot on. She takes risk, she trusts people, and you have to at least try, whether you fail or succeed. But luckily, Charisse has succeeded with the Cayged collection.
I mean, that's a great quote.
Thank you.
Also, shout out to Angela Bassett and her arms, beautiful arms.
Team arms.
And thanks again, Charisse, for joining us on GRINDSET. You've been listening to GRINDSET, and we'll see you next episode.
GRINDSET. Executive producer Epicenter. GRINDSET is directed, produced, and distributed by KUDZUKIAN.